Yes.
Here is one of the beautiful lesson in one of the village of America. The gentleman of Rio in Medio. Before you read, imagine your grandfather owns a small piece of land abundant with fruit yielding trees. It is inherited from his ancestors. Your father intends to sell it. Here is one of the ancestor property. Topic is this. The next generation people are sold it. What are the things should be theirs? Here in this lesson, in America, one of the family, one of the member is one of the ancestor. The old man story is this. He has growth, the fruit and yielding trees in that land were abundant. It is inherited from his ancestors. Your father intends to sell it. Your father, dear students, what do you think? ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಯ ಪೂರ್ವಜರು ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತಹ ಆಸ್ತಿ, ಆ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಯವರು ಮಾರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಟ್ಟರೆ ಅದರ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತದೆ? ಯುವರ್ ಫಾದರ್ ಇಂಟೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತಾರೆ ಆ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. Then here is discussion. What would be the reaction of your grandfather? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಜ್ಜ ಇರುವಾಗಲೇ ಆ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನ ಮಾರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಯವರು ಇಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಜ್ಜನ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಏನು? Complete dialogue between your father and your grandfather. Father and is your grandfather. What did they do? Father, could you sell the land? Here is conversation between father and grandfather. Father, could you sell the land? I want some money. I will send the land. Grandfather, keep silent for a few seconds. Keep silent for a few seconds of grandfather. Now, we should not. It is inherited from my ancestors. It is inherited from my ancestors. This is the land of our ancestors. But, therefore, I did not sold it. Grandfather told to his son. Father, so what? Grandfather, it is my prized possession. Grandfather told it, it is my prized possession. Father, grandfather also discussed various type of subjects of this land. So as it is, come to this lesson, gentleman Rio in Medio. Juan A. Cedillo, written by Juan A. Cedillo. You see the textbook. He took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. He was in no hurry. What he had the most of was time. He lived up in Rio in Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. He tilled the same land they had tilled. His house was small and wretched, but quaint. The little Greek ran through his land. His orchard was gnarled and beautiful. Gnarled and beautiful. It took months of negotiations to come to an understanding with the old man. He was living in one of the village in America. The place is called Rio en Medio. He was living in Rio en Medio. He was one of the liberal person, and he grew the various type of trees in that orchard. But he knows the behavior of the agriculturists, and he was also ideal person. He was adopted the ideal and negotiable rules. He was planted the various type of trees, but he could not told it. These trees are mine. These are the various type of fruits. Trees are not mine. Liberally, all those trees were used the one family members, one surname family members. Those trees are all of our families, not only mine. The old man said this. He was no hurry. What he had the most of was time. He rode up in Rio en Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. They are living in the village more than hundreds of years. Rio en Medio. He tilled the same land. He has also cultivated the same land. They had tilled and sowed and planted various type of fruits plants. His house was small, but he was living in the very small house, and it is also wretched. It is also wretched, but it is not pleasant house, old and the wretched house. That house is not happiness. His house was small and wretched, but quaint, unusual and attractive, especially in an old-fashioned way. It is not new-fashioned house. It is not an old-fashioned house, rich house. His house was small and wretched, but quaint, unusual and attractive, especially. But it is an old-fashioned way. It is an old-fashioned way. The little Greek ran through his land. His orchard was gnarled and beautiful. There is Greek ran through his land. Greek means one of the flowing water. It's called a river nearby his land. Greek ran through his land. Nearby one of the small river. Flowing water is available. His orchard was narrowed. His orchard was narrowed and beautiful. Narrowed means with twisted hard lumps. In that orchard was narrowed and the beautiful place of that tilled land. Second paragraph. The day of the sale, he came into the office. The day of the sale, he came into the office. The behavior of the old man. His coat was old, green and faded. I thought of Senator Catron, who has been such a power with these people up there in the mountains. Perhaps it was one of his old Prince Albert's. He wore gloves. They were old and torn, and his finger tips showed through them. He carried a cane, but it was only the skeleton of a worn out umbrella. Behind him walked one of his innumerable kin, a dark young man with eyes like a gazelle. Gazelle means the type of small deer. A large, beautiful eyes. Gazelle means deer. Beautiful deer. Large eyes and beautiful deer. The day of the sale, he came into the office. He came to the office and he was announced, I was sold of this land. What was his position? What was his character? How did he wear his dresses? His coat was old. He wore a old coat. And its color is green and it is also faded. I thought of Senator Catron, who has been such a power with these people up there in the mountains. I thought of Senator Catron. Thomas Benton Catron, a senator from New Mexico. He was one of the Catron, a senator from New Mexico. He was living in New Mexico. He is called a Senator Catron, who has been such a power with these people up. Senator Catron has been such a powerful person with these people. Up there in the mountains, perhaps it was one of his old Prince Albert. Prince Albert, long double-breasted coat. Prince Albert, he would wear a Prince Albert coat, double-coated, long double-breasted coat. He wore a dress, and he wore gloves with a wrist. They were old and torn, and his fingertips showed through them. They were old and torn, and his fingertips showed through them. He was wearing gloves with, that is, all those fingers are through the gloves. They were old and torn, and his fingertips showed through them. He carried a cane, and he also carried a walking cane, walking stick. But it was only the skeleton of a worn out umbrella. And he was also caught hold of one of the umbrella. How is it? It is worn out umbrella, shape of skeleton. There is no cloth, only showed for the legs. Behind him walked one of his innumerable kin, dark. Innumerable kins, dark. Young man with eyes like a gazelle. Behind him walked one of his innumerable. Innumerable means numerable, innumerable. Opposite or prefix. Innumerable. Kin, a dark young man. Behind him walked as he helped to him. man with eyes like a gazelle. He is one of the gazelle. Gazelle means one of the beautiful deer. Dark young man. He was also following the dark young man. The old man bowed to all of us in the room. The old man bowed to all of us in the room. Then he removed his hat and gloves slowly and carefully. Chaplin once did that in a picture. In a bank, he was the janitor. Then he handed his things to the boy who stood obediently behind the old man's chair. The old man bowed to all of us in the room. The old man was bowed. He was bent to wish the all of the peoples. And then he removed his hat and gloves. He was seated in the office. And he was removed the cap or hat and removed the gloves. Slowly and carefully. Slowly. Adverbial forms. Slowly. Softly. Slowly, fastly, and other word, carefully, carelessly. Carefully and opposite, carelessly. Chaplin once did that in a picture. He was not a Chaplin. Very thin body saw it. In a bank, he was the janitor. He was the janitor. Someone whose job is to look after a school or a large building. He was helping another person. A large building. Could you observe the picture in the textbook? One of a large garden is there, vast land is there. There is one of the building, and he has one of the janitor, and nearby the river was flowing from the mountain, top of the hills. Could you observe the picture? Various type of hill sections are there, and trees are there, garden is there, big building is there, and the flowing river is there. This is the situation of the land, tilled land, cultivated land. He was the harker. He was growth in the ancestor time. Behind the old man's chair, then he handed his things to the boy who stood obediently behind the old man's chair. Here is not a helping person is there. In a bank he was a janitor, then he handed his things to the boy who stood obediently. ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕವಾದಂತಹ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಸಹಾಯಕನಾಗಿದ್ದ. ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ದ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಚೇರ್, ಅವನ ಕುಳಿತುಕೊಳ್ಳುವ ಹಾಸನದ ಹಿಂಭಾಗ ಅವನು ನಿಂತಿದ್ದ. These stories is available this picture. The 3-paragraph story will be involving this textbook picture. 4th paragraph. There was a great deal of conversation about Ray and his family. He was very proud of his large family. Finally, we got down to business. Yes, he would sell, as he had agreed, for $1,200 in cash. We would buy, and the money was already money was ready, Don Anselmo, I said to him in Spanish, we have made a discovery. You remember that we sent that surveyor, that engineer, up there to survey your land so as to make the deed. Well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres. He tells us that your land extends across the river and that you own almost twice as much as you thought. You don't know that, and now Don Anselmo high-hearted. These Americans are buena gente. They are good people, and they are willing to pay you for the additional land as well, at the same rate per acre, so that instead of $1,200, you will get almost twice as much, and the money is here for you. But the old man was sold that land. He was sold that land for $1,200. $1,200 in cash. He sold it rate. It's called 8 acres. He sold for $1,200. There is a great deal of conversation about Ray and his family. Don Anselmo, Spanish title of respect, much like Sir in English. Don is in Spanish language, Sir. Sir. He was very proud of his large family. He was living in a large family. He's got a joint family. Grandfather, grandmother, and father, mother, and their children, and the kids. The big family was living in the Rio in Medio, one of the villages in America. Finally, we got down to business. Yes, he would sell. Yes, that's what he decided. Sell. Buy. Sell, buy. He was ready to sell the land. $1,200 also fixed. As he had agreed, disagreed. Agreed, disagreed. He is also ready to sell that land 8 acres. On that value, $1,200 in cash. We would buy, and the money was ready. We would buy. We are also ready to buy that land in cash of $1,200. And the money was ready. Money is also ready. We are also buying also ready. Don Anselmo, I said to him in Spanish. I said to him, what did he say? We have made a discovery. We have made a discovery. We are discovery of this land. You remember that we sent that surveyor. You remember that we sent that surveyor. What is the work of surveyor? To measure the land. He was sold for 8 acres land, and that money, that value is $1,200. His work is surveying of that land. That engineer up there to survey your land so as to make the deed. After it, the land should be deed. Who is buyer, to him it deed. Well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres. You have also measured it, surveyed it, land. But it is more than 800 acres. 8 acres, not 800. 8 acres more than. Nowadays is it called in the village. Wasteland is called Karabu, Halla, wastelands. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಕರೆದು ಅದು ಕೂಡ 8 ಎಕರ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೇರುವಂತಹ ಭೂಮಿ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. Appearing to survey your land also to make the deed, well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres. He tells us, how ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ, that your land extends across the river and that you own almost twice as much as you thought. More than 8 acres. It tells us that your land extends across the river. ಜಮೀನು 8 ಎಕರೆಗಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿದೆ. ನದಿಯಿಂದ ಆ ಕಡೆಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಬರುತ್ತದೆ, ನದಿಯನ್ನು ದಾಟಿ ಜಮೀನು ಬರುತ್ತದೆ. And that you own almost twice as much as you thought. Almost twice. You think almost. He didn't know that. ಆದರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. And now Don Anselmo, I added. Don Anselmo also added. ಅಷ್ಟು ಜಮೀನನ್ನ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ತಿಳಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾರಲು ಕೂಡ ಸಿದ್ಧರಾದರು. These Americans are Buena Genta. American peoples are very good people. But they are good people and they are willing to pay. They are good people also willing to pay for the additional land as well. ಇತರೆ ಜಮೀನು ಏನು ಸೇರಿದೆ ಆ ಜಮೀನಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಪೇ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ದ ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್. ಇತರೆ ಜಮೀನು ಕರಾಬು ಹಳ್ಳ ಕೊಳ್ಳ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ನಾನು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ದ ಸೇಮ್ ರೇಟ್ ಪರ್ ಎಕರ್. ಆ ಎಕರೆಗೆ ಏನು ಜಮೀನಿದೆ ಆ ಬೆಲೆಯನ್ನೇ ನಾನು ಕೂಡ ಇತರೆ ಉಳಿದ ಜಮೀನುಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ $1,200 you ಇತರೆ ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಅಂದರೆ 8 ಎಕರೆಯನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಉಳಿದ ಜಮೀನುಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದೇ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಕೊಳ್ಳುವವ ಹೇಳಿದ. You will get almost twice as much. You will get almost twice as much and the money is here for you. ಅದರ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೆಲೆ ಆಗುತ್ತದೆ ಅದರ 2ರಷ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಹಣ ಈಗಲೇ ಸಿದ್ಧವಿದೆ. ಆ ಒಟ್ಟು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಈಗ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು? ಬೈಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಈ ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತಹ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಸಮರ್ಥಿಸಿಕೊಂಡ. ಹೆಚ್ಚುವರಿ ಇರುವ ಭೂಮಿ ಏನಿದೆ 8 ಎಕರೆಗಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು, ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು 2ರಷ್ಟು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದ ಸೂಟಬಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್, the river is flowing on the bank of the river. Land is nearby the river. Therefore, the good facilities are there. The old man hung his head for a moment in thought. Hung the man his head for a moment in thought. The old man hung his head. The old man also nodded his head. Then he stood up and stared at me. Friend, he said, I do not like to yaw. You speak to me in that manner. I kept still and let him yaw his say. I know these. I know these Americans are good people, and that is why I agreed to sell to them. But I do not care to be insulted. I have agreed to sell my house and land for $1,200, and that is the price. The old man also declared it. What did he declare? Friend, he said, I do not like to have you speak to me in that manner. ನಾನು ಮಾತನ್ನು ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಕಾರವೇ ನಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದು. I kept still and let him have his say. I kept still. I will also kept it, that land from his ancestors. Have his say. He told it. I know these Americans are good people. The buyer is told to that sentence. I know Americans are good people. Not a thiefters, not a mistakers. They are good people. They are prompt people, obeyed people. And that is why. Why is it told? I have agreed to sell to them. I have agreed to sell. The old man is also ready to sell that land to them. But I do not care to be insulted. Don't insult it to me. I am also care. I have agreed to sell this land with my house. The house is in that land. Also house is sold it. Earned land for $1,200. Land including gardens, house nearby the river, flowing river, along with near the land. I will ready to sell for $1,200. I am agreed to you, deed to you, no mistake it. ಹೇಳಿದ $12,000 ನಾನೀಗಾಗಲೇ ಅದರ ಬೆಲೆಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ. That is the price. That price is also $1,200 along with the big house. Declared. I argued with him, but it was useless. I argued. ನಾನು ವಾದವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅವನ ಜೊತೆ. But it was useless. Useful, useless. Agree, disagree. I argued. ನಾನು ವಾದವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅವನ ಜೊತೆ. ಅದು ಉಪಯೋಗವಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. Finally signed the deed. Finally he also signed it. The deed papers. And took the money but refused to take more than the amount agreed upon. Took the money but refused. He has also given the more than $1,200 money, but he did not receive that money. He has also returned to him. He refused it to take more than the amount. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಅವನು ಪಡೆಯಲು ಒಪ್ಪಲಿಲ್ಲ. The amount agreed upon. The amount should be agreed on the deed papers. He has also received the amount $1,200 along with the house. Then he shook hands all around. In shock. Put on his ragged gloves. ಹರಿದ ಗ್ಲೌಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಧರಿಸಿದ. Took his stick, ತನ್ನ ವಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡ. Took his stick and walked out. ಕಟ್ಟಡದಿಂದ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಹೊರ ಬಂದ. with a boy behind him. His helpers, one of the boys, is also behind and followed him. See, there is sharp hands all around. Put on his ragged gloves, took his stick and walked out with the boy behind him. He has also signed the deed papers. The 8 acres land to sold. 8-acre land for only sold to him. You see the next paragraph. A month later, my friends had moved into Rio and Medio. A month later, after 1 month, his friends had moved into Rio and Medio village. They had replastered the house, old house. He has also repaired that building, replastered, painted, should look beautifully. Pruned the trees, patched the fence, and moved in summer. You see, he has also very modernized, constructed. Moved into Rio in Medio. After 1 month, he moved on the Rio in Medio. They had replastered the whole house. The house should be replastered and repainted. Pruned the trees to cut off some branches of a tree to make it grow better. In the trees, branches should be cut down. Tree to make grow better. Patch the fence. Patch the fence. Wherever the fencing is declined, that should be also repaired. And moved in summer. The rainy season also gone, winter season also gone, and also come to the summer season. One day they came back to the office to complain. ಒಂದು ದಿನ ಕೊಂಡವ ಆ ಜಮೀನಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆಕ್ಷೇಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲು ಅವನ ಕಚೇರಿಗೆ ಬಂದ. The children of the village were overrunning their property. They came every day and played under the trees, built little play fences around them, and took blossoms. When they were spoken to, they only laughed and talked back good mutually in Spanish. Blossoms, flowers on the trees. One day they came back to the office to complain. They also complained to the old man, whose buyer is also complaining to the children. The children of the village were overrunning their property. So many children entered into that garden. They were also running from one place to another. They are also playing in the trees. In the village name is Marakoti. Monkey games. They jumped and ran. They were also climbed the trees and jumped one branch to another branch. They were also jumped down. These type of games should be started in the summer season of the children. They came every day and played under the trees. Every day they are playing in that garden, in that tilled land, in the trees. Every day in the summer season. Built little play fences around them. They were also built fences around them and took blossoms. They also took blossoms. Flowers on the trees were blossomed. In the summer season, which trees are blossoms? Mango trees were blossoms. And other type of trees are also blossomed the flowers. They were also given the crops. When they were spoken to, they only laughed and talked back good naturedly in Spanish. When they were spoken to, ಯಾವಾಗ ಇವರ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟನ್ನು ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಪಡೆದುಕೊಂಡನೋ, ದೇ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಲಾಫ್, ಅವನು ನಗುತ್ತಾ ಕುಳಿತ. ಅಂಡ್ ಟಾಕ್ಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್, ಪುನಃ ಮರು ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ ಗುಡ್ ನ್ಯೂಚರ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನಿಷ್. He has also talked with him in Spanish language. Good ನ್ಯೂಚರ್ಲಿ, ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಜನಾಂಗ ಇದು ಅಂತ ಅವನು ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನಿಷ್ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. I sent a messenger up to the mountains for Don Anselmo. It took a week to arrange another meeting. When he arrived, he repeated his previous preliminary performance. He wore the same faded cutaway, carried the same stick and was accompanied by the boy again. He shook hands all around, sat down with the boy behind his chair and talked about the weather. Finally, I broached the subject. Don Anselmo, about the rank you sold to these people. They are good people and want to be your good neighbors always. When you sold to them, you signed a document, a deed. And in that deed, you agreed to several things. One thing was that they were to have the complete possession of the property. Now, Don Anselmo, it seems that every day the children of the village overrun the orchard and spend most of their time there. He would like to know if he, as the most respected man in the village, could not stop them from doing so, in order that these people might enjoy their new home more in peace. I sent a messenger up to the mountains for Don Anselmo. Don Anselmoನಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸಿದ. He took a work to arrange another meeting. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ. When he arrived, he repeated his previous preliminary performance. The last week, children do the child activities in that garden or in that land. He has also complained. Same complaint should be told to him. And he has came. How did he came? You see, he wore the same faded cutaway. He has also worn a cutaway, faded, carried the same stick, and was accompanied by the boy again. No change of his life. He wore the same dresses, he got out the sticks, and his accompanied boy also followed him again. He shook hands all around, sat down with the boy behind his chair. Same situation. The boy was standing behind the chair. Down and talked about the weather. Also discussed. Finally, I broached the subject. Same topics would be raised. Broached topics. Very large firm. Rank means a very large firm. They are good people. Don Anselmo, about the rank he sold to these people. This is one of the large farm. Rank means a very large 8-acre land with other wasteland also along with that land. They are good people and want to be your good neighbors also. Good people also there, and I want the good neighbors always. When you sold to them, you signed a document. When you sold it, then you signed the agreement or deed forms, and in that deed you agreed to several things, and you did and signed several things. One thing was that they were to have the complete possession of the property. Complete possession of the property. Now, Dara Silmo, it seems that every day the children of the village in the summer season, every day the children were played in that land because the land is covered with the various type of fruit trees. Over on the orchard and spend most of their time, the children were spent most of the time in that land. We would like to know if you, as the most respected man in the village, he was one of the respected man, Rio in Medio, could not stop them from doing so in order that these people might enjoy their new home more in peace. Could not stop them from doing so in order that these people might enjoy their new home more in peace. The children were enjoyed in that land and also repaired the building or house. They were full of enjoy. Danasilmo stood up. We have all learned to love these Americans, he said. Because they are good people and good neighbors, I sold them my property because I knew they were good people, but I do not sell them the trees in the orchard. The old man also sold the buying man. What did he told? Danasilmo stood up and told to the buying man, we have all learned to love these Americans. American people are also very good people, and I were also very good people. But you see, they are good people and good neighbors. I sold them. He told him, I sold them my property. Only my property is sold to you because I knew they were good people. I knew. ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು ಅವರು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಜನರು ಅಂತ. But I did not sell them. Only sold the land. I did not sell them the trees in the orchard. This is one of the big incident. Only sold the land, not a trees in that orchard. He was very shocked. You see, American peoples were good. They were also good, but he sold the land, but did not sold the trees in that orchard. You see the paradox. This was bad, Don Anselmo. This was bad, Don Anselmo. I pleaded. When one signs a deed and sells real property, one sells also everything that grows on the land. And those trees, every one of them, are on the land and inside the boundaries of what you sold. This was bad, he said, Don Anselmo. I pleaded. When one signs a deed and sells real property, one sells also everything that grows on the land, and those trees, every one of them are on the land and inside the boundaries of what you sold. ನೀನು ಮಾರಿರುವಂತಹ 8 ಎಕರೆ ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನೀನು ಮಾರಿದ್ದೀಯಾ, ಅದಷ್ಟೂ ಕೂಡ ನನಗೆ ಸೇರಿತು. ಆ ಭೂಮಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮರ ಗಿಡ ಕಟ್ಟಡಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ ಸೇರಿದೆ ಹೊರತು ಅದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀನು ಸಹಿ ಮಾಡಿರುವ ಡೀಡ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೇರಿವೆ ಎನ್ನುವ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವನ್ನು ಆ ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪಡಿಸಿದ. ಸಿ ಆರ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಬೌಂಡ್ರೀಸ್, ಆರ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಬೌಂಡ್ರೀಸ್. ಆ ಗಡಿ ಭಾಗ ಏನಿದೆಯಾ, ಆ ಜಮೀನಿನ ಗಡಿ ಭಾಗದ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲದೂ ಕೂಡ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ ಯು ಸೋಲ್ಡ್, ಅದರೊಳಗಡೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲದೂ ಕೂಡ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀಯಾ. Yes, I admit that, he said. You know, he added, I am the oldest man in the village. Almost everyone there is my relative, and all the children of Medio and Medio are my sobrinos and neotos, my descendants. Every time a children has been born in Rio and Medio since I took possession of the house from my mother. I have planted a tree for that child. The trees that are cut are not mine, sinner, they being to the children of the village. Every person in Rio and Medio born since the railroad came to Santa Fe owns a tree in that orchard. I did not sell the trees because I could not. They are not mine. You see, given one of the incident of that family. Yes, I admit that, he said. You know, he had it. I am the oldest man in the village. I am the senior of this village. Most senior of the village. Almost everyone there is my relatives and all children, Rio and Medio. In this village, Rio and Medio, of this village, all of the people were along with relatives and friends, not outside peoples. They are all of our ancestors in the Rio and Medio, sobrinos and neotos, Spanish for nieces and nephews, all those relatives and grandchildren. ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಳೆಯಂದಿರು, ಬಂಧುಗಳು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳು, ಮೊಮ್ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ರಿಯೋ ಇನ್ ಮೀಡಿಯೋ ಎನ್ನುವ ಗ್ರಾಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇರಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ನೆಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನೈಸಸ್, ಸಬ್ರಿನೋಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನೈಟೋಸ್. My descendants, every time a child has been born in Rio in Medio, every time, whenever the child is born, in that land, one of the plant is planted on that land. Remember of that child. Since I took possession of the house from my mother, his mother was planted one of the land. I have planted a tree for that child. For the child it has planted. The trees in that orchard are not mine. These all orchards are not mine. The orchard full of covered with the trees of those people. Sinner, they belong to the children of the village. Belong to the children of the village. All those orchards. Every one person in Rio and Medio born since the railroad came to Santa Fe owns a tree in that orchard. ಈ ತೋಟ ಏನಿದೆ, ಬೆಳೆದಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮರಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಸದಸ್ಯರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೇರಿವೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಂಧು ಬಳಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಮಗು ಹೆರಿಗೆಯಾದರೂ ಆ ಮಗುವಿನ ಹೆಸರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ಒಂದು ಸಸ್ಯವನ್ನು ನೆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಳು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಈ ಒಂದು ತೋಟ ಬೆಳೆದಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ಮಾರಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಹೊರತು ಈ ಮರ ಗಿಡಗಳನ್ನು ನಿನಗೆ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. I did not sell the trees because I could not. They are not mine. I did not sell those trees. Those trees are not mine. All those trees are the relatives. There was nothing we could do. legally we owned the trees, but the old man had been so generous, refusing what amounted to a fortune for him. He took most of the following winter to buy the trees individually from the descendants of Don Anselmo in the valley of Rio in Medio. There was nothing he could do. ಇನ್ನೇನು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡುವುದು ಉಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ. ಲೀಗಲಿ ವಿ ಫೌಂಡ್, ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅದೆಲ್ಲದೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಂತದ್ದು. ದ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಬಟ್ ದ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬೀನ್ ಸೋ ಜನರಸ್. ದ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ವಾಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಜನರಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್, refusing what amount to a fortune for him. He was also refused to that amount to him. He took most of the following winter to buy the trees. Most of the following winter. ಬರುವಂತಹ ಆ ಕಾಲ ಚಳಿಗಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಟು ಬೈ ದ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲಿ, ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಆ ಮರಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದ. ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಡಿಸೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಾನ್ ಆನ್ಸೆಲ್ಮೋ. ಆನ್ಸೆಲ್ಮೋ ಎಂದರೆ ಈ ಮರಗಳು ಮಾರಾಟವಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವು ಇನ್ ದ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯೋ ಎನ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ. ಆ ರಿಯೋ ಎನ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಹಳ್ಳ ಕೊಳ್ಳ ನದಿ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಮರ ಗಿಡಗಳನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸಿ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡದಾದಂತಹ ಸುಂದರವಾದಂತಹ ತೋಟವನ್ನೇ he was growth and developed in the village of Rio in Medio. This is one of the beautiful lesson in the American people's virginality story. Thank you.